Hello, lovelies. You're welcome to this episode of Maximize and Manifest. A quick notice. I want us to remember that this channel is a lifestyle channel. So yes, from time to time, you'll see me talk about things like this, that is self-help topics, how to improve your lifestyle, like what I'm doing right now. You also see me talk about things like maybe eat well, maybe grow your hair, your skin, take care of your skin, exercise and all that. You also see me talk about things like fashion, what to wear, how to dress for yourself, style yourself, stuff like that. How to do this, how to do that, how to do this one, how to do that one, because this is a lifestyle channel. Okay, it cuts across your whole life, and I'm sharing my life with you guys. Basically everything I am telling you guys, you can be rest assured that I am trying it myself, especially this goal building and resolution crushing series I'm doing right now, this Maximize and Manifest series. To be rest assured that I am also taking my own advice, right? So yeah, I just needed to say that. So last week we talked about the identity check, because we really needed to continue talking about the why. I really needed to talk about that because I just noticed that people have identity crisis, right? People have this conflicting identity and all that. And why? Because people don't really take out the time to create the identity they want. They just start with their resolutions. They start with their what, then move to their how, before they now move to their why. And you see that is working backwards. It's not going to work like that. That is not the way things are. It's supposed to be your why, then your how, then your what. If not, your what will now ultimately define your why, which shouldn't be. Your what will now just define your whole life, which shouldn't be, which will now make you to have an identity crisis, like I talked about. So it is important that you know that why first. It is settled for you, that society doesn't settle it for you. Your circumstances or the things you took yourself into because of you were focusing on your goals will now define your why for you. It shouldn't be like that. So yes, check that video out before watching this if you haven't. Now for today, we'll be talking about our how, finally. Yes, so we're talking about how to build goal-getting systems, how to build systems that would help us to achieve those resolutions. The what, basically. What is the how? The how is your routines, your habits, your practices, the things that you do either on a daily basis or weekly basis, a monthly basis, bi-monthly basis, quarterly basis, depending on the frequency, right? So different habits will have different frequency. For let's say something like eating, we know that you have to eat every day or every other day at least. Even if you are doing a whole day intermittent fasting, you still have to eat. You should eat the next day, or maybe after 3 days or 4 days you should eat, right? Some people can do 3 days fasting, just saying. But then eating is something that generally it is a daily activity. Another thing that is a daily activity is waking up, right? Getting up from your bed. It's a daily activity. So yeah, you see that those ones are something that you do on a daily basis. Then things that you do on a weekly basis, let's say something like maybe going to church. For some people it's a weekly thing. Some people it's a twice in a week thing, 3 times in a week, but it's not every single day, right? For some people it's every single day, but then generally it's not every single day, right? Things like let me see, what can you do? Maybe working out. Some people might just work out once a week, right? Things like that are not something you do every single day. So this will depend on what you're trying to achieve. The frequency of how you do something will depend on what you are trying to achieve, basically, and also what your body can carry. I'll go into this very soon. So yes, that is the frequency of your How? Let's go into how proper. So the basic unit of your behavior, of your actions, is your habits. Just as the same way an atom is the basic unit of matter and all that, and seconds is the basic unit of time and all that. Habit is the basic unit of action or behavior. It is something that you do without thinking. A habit is something that you do without really engaging your conscious mind. It's something that your subconscious mind does. Something like waking up. I don't think you have to think about waking up before you wake up. Then sleeping as well, things like that. Even if you don't want to sleep, there's sometimes you will sleep off, right? Because your body needs the sleep and all that. So yes, a habit is something that is mostly governed by your subconscious mind. So now we see that your habit is the basic unit. So what are they building? What are your habits building? Should be that the basic unit. So what are they the basic unit of? I said your actions. For the sake of this video, we'll call your actions systems. So these systems now is how you live your life in a day, how you live your life in a week, how you live your life in a month, how you live your life depending on the frequency you are gauging. Habits are the basic building blocks of systems, and systems will govern your goal. So now let's look at how to build habits. How are habits formed actually? A habit is formed by, according to James Clear in the Atomic Habits, 4 principles of habit formation, or 4 fundamental principles, which are number 1, the cue, number 2, the craving, number 3, the response, and number 3, the reward. So the laws for this is that number 1, the cue, make it obvious. So for you to do something, it has to be obvious to you. If you cannot see it, if it is out of sight, that's why most times this saying that says out of sight is out of mind. It's very, 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 apt, because if you're out of my sight for a very long time, it's very possible that I will forget about you. That's just it. If I'm not seeing you on maybe Facebook, maybe you just went off the radar, you will be out of my mind for a very, very long time, except maybe something now brings you back to my mind. Maybe I see a cue, which is still obvious. Maybe I see your shirt that I have, or I see a picture of you. Then you've come back to my mind, right? Something brought you back to my mind. Then number 2, which is the craving. It is desire. It talks about desire. So for something to be desirous to you, it has to be attractive. So the rule is make it attractive. So that habit has to be attractive. If it is not attractive, you won't even go close to it. That is why certain cues affect different people. Like now, I might see a cigarette, right? And I'll just walk away because it's not attractive to me. What am I using a cigarette to do, right? But someone else will see a cigarette and it's attractive to them. They'll pick it up, right? The desire to pick it up. So it has to be attractive. Even if it's obvious, that's the first one. If it's not attractive, I won't bother. So yes, it has to be attractive. Then the next one is the response. So the response talks about being able to do something, being able to carry out something. The rule is that you have to make it easy. So now let's say I see the cigarette. That's the cue. I want the cigarettes. That's the craving, the desire. But I cannot have the cigarettes. I can't complete the habit. So you see that I cannot respond, which is the next part of the habit formation. If I cannot respond, then the habit is never formed. But let's say I have the money to buy the cigarettes. I get the cigarette, I've responded. So I've done those 3. It was obvious to me, it was attractive to me, and I was able to respond. So I had the ability to respond. It was not hard for me to respond. So make it easy. Then the next one is the reward. So the reward is the satisfaction I get from doing this thing. So the rule is make it satisfying. If this thing I take, if I like it, I will do this again. But if I do not like it, I will not do it again. So let's say let me give an example using the cigarette again. Let's say, okay, for me now, I do not smoke, right? But let's say someone cajoled me into smoking. So I saw the cigarettes. I was made to desire the cigarette by another person, right? So still craving. Then I responded. I took it and I smoked, right? Let's say the taste was terrible, or it affected me, my lungs or something. Then you can be rest assured that I will not do it again. So it is not satisfying. I've done the habit once, but it's not enough for it to become a habit. I just did it once. For it to become a habit, I have to do it again and again and again and again for a couple of times that it now becomes ingrained in my subconscious. Remember, I said your habits are mostly governed by your subconscious mind. But for something to be instilled in your subconscious mind, it means you have to have done it a number of times that you can do it without thinking. So the next time I see a cigarette, if I really liked it, I'll just pick it and start. I don't need to think about it. I don't need to do any ceremony, right? So that way the habit now becomes formed, because it was satisfying and I did it again and again and again and again, and now I'm doing it without thinking. So how often should you do your habits? Like I said, that was the frequency I talked about, but one thing I want to say on this now is that most of your habits, they should be lifelong. Yes, there are some habits that's for good habits, so we're not talking about bad habits. For good habits, they should be lifelong. That is why I said you should start with your why. So your why will now determine your how. Your why, you want to be a disciplined person. So that means you have to have a habit of maybe being punctual. So you'll see that will be a habit that will be lifelong. It's not going to be just for when you have a job. Even when you don't have a job, you still be that punctual person. It won't just be because, oh, I was working, so now that I'm not working again, let me be not punctual. The truth is that once a habit is formed, it is really hard to break it. So let's say you had a habit of waking up by 5 a.m. every day, like me now. I wake up every single day by 5. I may not leave my bed, but I will wake up because I formed that habit a while ago. I formed the habit. So whether I like it or not, I will wake up. I'm just going to wake up because my body is used to that. My body is used to waking up by that time because I forced myself, or I trained myself to wake up by that time until it became a habit. So yes, most habits are lifelong habits. But now why I'm saying this is because there's some habits that people engage in that isn't really the best. Like let's say you want to lose weight. Some people do extreme things like taking slimming tea. What can I even say again? Maybe doing citrus only diet. So you're taking only citrus fruits, or you're taking only vegetables. You're taking only like very drastic. Okay, there was one that one of my friends told me about, that she was doing a fruit only diet. She died after I think 10 years. I was more surprised that her body was able to carry her for that long. Fruits are not bad, but to be honest, fruits, they lack all the nutrients that your body needs. Your body needs a lot of other nutrients that fruits might have in very minute percentages. Like there's some fruits that have carbs, but they're very small. There's some fruits that have fats, like high percentages of fat and all that. There's some fruits that have proteins, but it's so tiny than what your body actually needs. If you see this woman, her body was so skinny, like she doesn't even look healthy, and she's taking fruits. Fruits are supposed to be good for you, but they're not all your body needs. So there are some habits that are just you shouldn't. If you do it maybe for a week, two, maybe when you achieve your goal, just stop. Don't make it a lifelong habit. Why are you eating vegetables only and you continue that for life? I don't think it is okay. Or you're doing intermittent fasting and you're fasting, let's say you're fasting for 8 hours. No, 8 hours is even small. What am I saying? You're fasting for maybe 12 hours every day minus your sleeping time, because you know when you are sleeping, you are also fasting. You are fasting 12 hours every day. It's okay if you do it for maybe a day, 2 days, 3 days, maybe a week, safe. But when it start becoming 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, every single day you are fasting, my dear, you will die. You're going to die. So yeah, there's some habits that if you do it, let's say like now fasting, you can make it a weekly thing, or maybe bi-weekly thing. You do it twice a week, but not every single day. Not every single day. So you could fast maybe twice a week. You could fast 3 times a week, depending on how you build yourself, because you still have to even grow into it. But not fasting every single day, right? So you just have to, like for me now, I fast every Thursday. Every Thursday. So you see that is 1 day in a week. Sometimes I can maybe fast 3 times in a week, maybe depending on what we're doing. I can fast for a week or 2 weeks, but that is not going to be every single month. It's just going to be once in a while. It's going to be once in a while thing. Like some churches have the 40 days fast for every new month, or like my own church is 21 days fast for every new year, for every new year. That is for a new year, not for every month. Not that you say you fast for 21 days every month. Okay. And you're fasting 6 to 6, or some people even do 6 to what do I even call it now? 6 to 6 of the next day. That's like 24 hours. It's fine. It's okay. Please let us gauge our bodies when we are building a habit, or when we want to start something. Please just pace yourself. Do not rush things. Like for me now, I'll use myself again, working out. I started this Chloe Things challenge, right? But I noticed something, that if I try to do it, like starting out, if I try to do it maybe 4 days at a stretch, I would be so weak. I would be so tired. I would be so... I will not be okay. Then after doing it for like 2 weeks or 3 weeks, I noticed that my knees were hurting so much. I noticed that my wrists and my palms were hurting so much. So I had to even stop altogether. So I am trying to find ways around that, because most of the exercises require that I be on my knees. So even the time I was resting, maybe I rest 2 days after maybe 3 days of working out, something like that, or a day after working out 2 days, something like that. But even the rest days are not even enough for my body to recover from all the stress, right? So I am trying to find things that can make it easier for me, like maybe getting what do you call this stuff, foam cushions or something like that for my knees, just to make things easier for my knees. Then also my feet, my ankles, I have to get a better sneaker to make that feasible. So that is making it easy. That is the third rule. Yeah, the third rule of making a habit. It has to be easy. So I noticed that, yes, I saw the cue to work out, and I have the desire to work out, but right now it's not easy. So I had to stop. I've stopped it for now. So when I find a way to make it easy, I'll proceed, right? So that I do not destroy my body. I'm trying to get my body to be fit, not to become disabled, not to break my leg or my ankle or my knee or something. So please keep that in mind when you are trying to build a habit. I think this will just be like an introductory video, because honestly it's a lot. So in the next video, I will be talking deeply into systems, how to build the systems, like things like temptation bundling, things like habit stacking, and all those things like that. The punishment and reward system. There's a lot of ways to build systems. There's a lot of ways to stack your habits, to make them into a system. So I'll be talking about that next week, because I've noticed that, yeah, our time is fast spent, right? And I do not want to make this so long. But then I really hope you were able to get something today about habits, about how habits are formed, and about how to select the right habits for you, habits that will not harm your body, habits that will fit into your lifestyle, habits that will fit into what you're doing. But what is good for you might not be good for you every single time. Do you understand? Taking water is good for you, but it doesn't mean you should take gallons and gallons and gallons of water. Know when to stop. It is a very good thing to know when to stop. It is a very good thing to know how often, like the frequency I talked about. There are some habits that should be done every single day. There's some habits that should be done twice in a week, 3 times in a week. There's some that should be done weekly. You should just be able to place all those things, right, in its proper place, so that we will not have issues. All right. So thank you very, very much for your time, for listening to me. I'm really happy. Thank you so much, and I'll see you guys next time. And everything Eva and the M&M series.